What's up, Craig? There we go. All right. Welcome in, everybody. Season 2, episode 3? Is it episode 3?
Yes. Yeah.
I kind of wanted to just keep, you know, like how like in The Mandalorian, it's like season 3, episode 3, but they say it's episode 40 or something.
Yeah.
I wanted to do that, but now I don't really want to.
You did, but you didn't. No. Gotcha.
I did, but you know, it's just a lot to keep in mind, especially like at the top. But anyway, what's up? I'm your host, Johnny. In here, we've got DJD.
Howdy.
We got Farmer.
How's it going?
So this is an interesting thing as the host. I want to clarify something. I always say DJD first because it's alphabetical. I'm not giving him priority. It's the alphabetical. Oh yeah, that's such a weird thing. So like in Japanese, Chiho brought up, it's like black and white. Did you know in Japanese they say white and black? Like a white and black photo.
Yeah.
And it just feels wrong. It's just it feels slimy if you say it. Like, oh, check out that white and black photo. You're just like, you don't realize that you have a preference about it until you hear someone say that. You're like, that's not right.
That's funny. Something else this week that I was going through some stuff on YouTube, but Australians and maybe some maybe other different cultures do scissors, paper, rock instead of rock, paper, scissors. Isn't that weird?
What?
Scissors, paper, rock.
Scissors, paper, rock. I know. It's like I thought that was just like that comment. I was taken aback. I was like,
what?
Wow, okay. I didn't know that was a thing. It's rock, paper, scissors, but apparently it's other places it's not. It's scissors, paper, rock, and somewhere else it could be paper, rock, scissors. I don't know.
paper, scissor, rock.
Paper, scissor, rock. I don't know.
So does that mean that like does that mean the Australian version of Divinity Original Sin is like scissors, paper, rock?
It's different. Yeah. Also, in Australia, rock, paper, scissors. Scissors loses to paper for some reason. I mean, you could cover a scissors with paper, which is the whole argument of how paper beats rock, right? You could cover one. I don't see.
It could break out, though, right?
You would need a rubber band.
Yeah.
Rubber.
That's a fourth item, okay? That's
yeah. Rock, paper, scissors, rubber band. Have you guys never heard that before? No. Okay.
I'm going to tell everyone a secret about me because we'll just keep it between the three of us, right? Just the three of us will know this.
Yeah.
I always do rock first. Always.
Really?
I just always go with rock. I always go rock. Yeah.
Is that just? I think on average that's probably the majority, honestly, because
you don't have to change your hand.
Yeah,
right?
I think
because when you do it, you know,
rock. You know, you don't move it.
Yeah, you don't do anything. I always go rock first. Also, because rock is strongest.
60% probably do it. I'd say just off the top of my head. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, always. I always do rock first, and then if I lose. Maybe I change my strategy. Maybe I don't change my strategy. That's for you to find out.
Hey, you know, we're sitting here where we can see each other. We should scissors, paper, rock. I mean, rock, paper, scissors.
Scissors, paper, rock. Get out. Get out. That's what destroyed the podcast. Scissors, paper, rock.
My problem is, so I am uniquely somehow, like, maybe not uniquely, but phenomenally skilled at rock, paper, scissors, and you guys know this, but I'm also at the point now where I'm so good at it that I don't want to play anymore because I don't want to ruin it.
It doesn't want to ruin how good he is.
Yeah.
For those listening who are like, how can you be good at rock, paper, scissors? No, he's serious. It's weird. It's weird how fully skilled DJD is at rock, paper, scissors. I don't really understand. So like when we were playing Divinity Original Sin, the first game, you can have opposing ideas of what to say, and the way that you decide is you do rock, paper, scissors. and whoever wins, what they wanted to say decides. When you're playing co-op, DJD always won, and it's not like I was always choosing rock. I want to throw that out there. It's not like it was so simple that I was always like he always won. It's weird. It's weird.
That's frustrating.
I am getting so good at throwing garbage into this trash can here in the studio. Like, am I in the NBA? Is this what it feels like? Is this what it feels like?
When you get that good,
exactly.
that swish all the time. That's what it feels like to be an athlete.
I was talking. So for those who don't know, I teach junior high English classes to Japanese students, and I was talking with one of my students, and he's like really into basketball apparently. And I had the really enjoyable thing that his favorite team is the Warriors. And I got to be that person from America that's like, boo, San Francisco, boo, the Warriors. And he didn't get it until it came up that, well, I'm from Chicago. So we have the Chicago Bulls there.
And I took that personally.
But before we get too far from it, right before the podcast started, I wanted to talk about something and get... So this is technically a gaming podcast, though I wonder if we should change to like culture. I feel like the three of us are quite cultured. We talk about gaming culture.
We are the culture.
Yeah,
so to speak.
We are the culture.
This is an interesting thing among gamers, but I was reading this thing on Threads. For those of you who are longtime listeners of the podcast, maybe you will remember I took Threads off my homepage on my phone. It's back.
I can kind of, I could have guessed that
like
just by the way you've been talking. I know.
I put it
He's
back.
just like,
I put it back
I'm
on.
back on Threads. I'm back on Threads. I've been seeing some stuff that he's been posting. Like, man, Johnny's right back at it. He's
I'm back on
not
Threads,
missed a
man.
beat lately.
But, I will say this with Threads. There's been lots of times, I don't know what it is about Threads and Twitter and stuff. It makes you want to complain. I've held back on like complaining threads, posts, I don't know. And just being like mean and sarcastic about things. I've had to hold back where I've been like wanting to make a post and I'm like, you know what? Like that's just not positive and just like it's not adding anything to anyone. So I'm not going to do it. Anyway, there's been this thing going around on Threads about how I think the post says the most millennial thing I do is I buy airline tickets on a computer and never on my phone. And this is like a divide between Gen Z and like millennials and older generations where like they always want to do like a big purchase on a computer screen versus doing a big purchase on a phone. So like apparently a lot of younger people will just buy like airplane tickets on an app or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much everything on their phone these days.
Yeah.
But I'm like right along with that, honestly. Like there's some divide there for me. Like some stuff I'll definitely be like, I got to have a big screen. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just
I don't know what it is either. Well,
showing.
I'm that way too. I tend to want to use a laptop. If I'm going to spend more than like $100, I do it on like a computer usually. But it led into another really interesting conversation on Threads where people were talking about how, if you guys can hear Chiho is watching Harry Potter with Pyro, which happens a lot. So anyway,
Harry Potter.
They were talking about Apple stuff, right? So like you can buy right now, I think at Best Buy and Walmart, you can buy like an M1 MacBook Air for like super cheap, like 600 something bucks, I think. It's a win for everybody. I'm currently on an M1 MacBook Air as we're recording this. It's a great computer. I've used it for so many things. But I think it only has that one only has 8 gigs of RAM or something like that as like the baseline.
Are we sponsored by Apple or something?
No, but the comment was that 8 gigs of RAM is enough for like 99% of people. Like people who are getting all crazy about how much RAM it has.
Is it really?
Most people, that's enough for most people. But I was thinking about it and I was like, but if most people are doing almost everything on their phones, not on computers, I mean, wouldn't that make computers kind of a more niche than like the mobile market anyway? Like when I met
yeah,
Chiho,
kind of at this point. Yeah, I would say so.
She was in university and she would write all of her papers and everything on her phone.
That's
That
wild.
sounds terrible.
She
That
only
sounds
started
so
using
terrible.
a computer in the last 6 months. Isn't that insane? Like, no, so she did
you
all
say
of her
so?
everything.
Once she started learning to type on the keyboard, it's like, isn't this better? Isn't this way better? Did you have that
She
conversation
actually
with her
only
at all?
recently started saying that she liked a computer more. She hated using that computer.
Up until
that she has.
it's like one of those things. Once you have to learn it first the right way, I guess, so to speak. And if you haven't taken keyboard or anything like that, that'd take a little bit. But yeah, like writing on my keyboard, I'd love that way more. If I'm writing like a note or writing out a paper or anything like that, like it's hands down. I don't want to use my phone unless there's one caveat.
Why is he so mean?
Unless it's talk, like talk to speech on my phone.
Yeah.
That works out great. I just record myself. So I don't know. I don't
Well,
like the
it's
whole thumb
interesting
thing.
because outside of gaming, which, I am on Mac, so I'm not doing much gaming, and work, I feel like most people would use just a phone or mobile devices versus a computer. And I would be really interested if people want to, like, I don't know, comment or hit us up on Instagram about this, what that really is. Like, what do people use more? For those familiar with me on Twitch, people would know that, like, I've gone back and forth between producing music on computer versus making music on like an iPad. And I actually started on an iPad and I went back. And then I went to computer and I actually went back to iPad because I just enjoyed it so much more. But I thought it was a really weird conversation, especially being so plugged into like gaming and such, because everyone's talking about their PCs and their GPUs and all of this stuff and how much they need for this or how much they need for this. And is it really that outside of like that hobby, which is the most it's the most popular hobby in the world, but outside of that hobby, maybe people just aren't doing it. And I mean, we say it's the most popular hobby in the world, but how many of those people are mobile gamers or console gamers who don't really worry about it?
Yeah, I definitely think you're right. Like in the last 10, 15 years, everything's kind of shifted different. Like everybody had to have a laptop for like school. Everybody had to have something like that, when they were going to high school, college, you name it. Now it's shifted to where, okay, you get your phone. It does everything for you, well, not everything for you, but you can do everything on it, so to speak, on a certain level.
Or maybe you have a tablet, whether that be an iPad or, a Surface or something like that.
And it's kind of gotten that way because like what you said, the PCs, whenever I talk to people or think about PCs, like, oh, I built my PC. I built it from the ground up. That's kind of the people I'm talking to, like we're doing it for gaming, so to speak, or people doing like heavy in video production, that sort of thing, but a lot of times
crypto, right? Which none of us are into.
There's that.
I love crypto. I love crypto in Apex, right? He's one of my cryptos in my top 3 in Apex. I love playing as him.
Yeah, David's got like 3 or 4 computers in the back just mining, from what I hear.
Yeah, just mining.
No, I am actually finally working on my old custom that I built like 10, 12 years ago. Finally getting that back up and running to the point where like at least I now have it plugged in. That's as far as I've gotten because I turned it on and it said, yeah, your hard drive is bricked. And I'm like, shoot. Okay. Well, so I need to replace the hard disk and then I'll probably start upgrading components. But the nice thing is I have the pre-built and I have my laptop. So, I mean, like, I'm relatively good. So, like, I don't necessarily need to feel rushed in terms of, like, building it up, which will be nice.
I find it funny that you brought up just, like, 8 gigs of RAM. So, I guess I'm definitely on the other side of the spectrum because I'm thinking 8 gigs. I'm pushing. I'm like 32, 64. I'm in the 128 now.
Right.
Like I'm way up high and like way further than I should be, but I overbuilt my PC on purpose so I wouldn't have to worry about like changing things, some things anyways. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get this out of the way so I don't have to worry about it. I'm just going to max it out. But it's still kind of funny when you think about it. It's like not many people are still using that much RAM, so to speak. I mean, I remember back in the day when I had 32 megs of RAM, that was a huge thing. Do you guys remember those days when it was like those sticks of RAMs? Like, oh yeah, I just upgraded to 64 megs of RAM. Let's
or like
go.
that they sell like the one for me is like how big storage has gotten of like terabytes on micro SD cards. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's wild. But but I kind of get it though, because for me, you know, being a Mac user and a console gamer, I don't really think about it or worry about it. And I think most people use their laptops for Stardew Valley and like watching Netflix and browsing the internet. You know what I mean? Which technically you could do all of that on a phone, actually. You could do all of those things on a phone. And I mean, it's interesting even being on Twitch. I was talking with someone about how long have you been on Twitch, and I was thinking how many people we've met. When we first got on Twitch, I feel like most of the people I met were like really sweaty Apex streamers. But that started to, it's really interesting the amount of like, you know, casual, like, how is Stardew Valley still so popular? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's one of those games where it's because it's a farming style of game that, you know, it doesn't end, so to speak. You can just keep having fun with it. Like
Well,
if you like that
before
style
people
of
come
game.
at me, I know that there's like a lot of free updates, and the game is totally different. I played the crap out of Stardew Valley in 2017. I really played the crap out of that game, and the fact that like people, but also I want to throw out there, I need to start a new farm because it's like a totally different game now. There's like an island you could. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that's been added for free, right?
Yeah.
But also like that was a long time ago. I was playing that when I was playing Breath of the Wild when I first got my Switch, and it's just wild to me that it's like not only is it still going, it still is huge and has a huge lively community.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, what is
that
it?
could
Halo
be-
Infinite. Not Halo Infinite. Halo 5.
Oh, Halo
Not
5.
doing so good.
Yeah, I mean, well, when the next anything comes out, like any next Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, Halo, any game like in the series, you know, everybody usually shifts. I mean, that's kind of like the rule of thumb. I mean, you don't play a game there's still people out there, don't get me wrong, but you usually shift to the next title. I mean, that's just natural. So, but
Yep. That next Spyro
Apex
game.
Apex, going back to Apex, I mean, for example, it was released 2019 and it's made a lot of different shifts and it's still pretty strong with its community too. So I don't know. Games are just different.
Apex is a huge multiplayer game.
That's
I
true.
guess Stardew Valley is multiplayer now, but a lot of people play it single player, you know?
Yeah, it just has a lot of replayability for even single players, which is interesting, you know? It is really
well, it's interesting because I feel like I really saw, and maybe I'm totally wrong here, but one of the other communities we really brushed up against was the Animal Crossing community.
Mm-hmm.
In that game, I would put on like in similar vein as Stardew, and Animal Crossing really died off, right? And also, what's that other game? Story of Seasons?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You know the game I'm talking
about? Yeah.
That game also really died off.
I think Animal Crossing suffers a little bit from being localized to Switch, right? When it comes down to it.
This is true. This is true because there's mods, right, on the PC. I forgot about that.
Before we get too far away from it, I have some stats for y'all. I love stats.
Stats.
I would love to hear some stats.
Percentages and all that stuff.
Worldwide, over the last 12 months, mobile usage for internet is 59.91%. Desktop is 37.89%. And tablet is 2.2%.
That's so interesting that tablet is so low to me.
In North America, desktop is 49.68%. And mobile is 47.48%. And tablet is 2.84%. Now, I wonder, too, for some of these tablets, because they might be potentially like PCs, like Surface, right? For instance,
right,
where you can have like a full Windows desktop mode or whatever on it.
I wouldn't say that counts as a tablet. I would say that I think but it would have to be like a Samsung.
Is a tablet
right?
compared to like a Surface Book or whatever. You know?
Sure, yeah, but I think when they say tablets, this is solely a tablet. so to speak. Outside of like Windows operating system, so to speak.
I just want to say,
think.
after those stats, more websites need to be more mobile friendly.
Yep,
With
agreed.
numbers like that, how, if
Like
you have a website, how do you
70%?
not have a mobile friendly website?
The problem I find a lot of the time is that the mobile versions, they might even be somewhat aesthetic and easy to navigate, but they'll be missing a lot of features from like the full
This is very
sites.
true.
And that frustrates the heck out of me, because then it's a whole thing of like trying to get like the full version on your mobile device, and it keeps on like not working properly. And
Yep. No, it's true. As a musician, I have music on Spotify. There's a Spotify for Artists app on the iPhone, but it is missing certain things. They want you to go to the website. You go to the website on a phone and on an iPad, and it tells you go on a bigger screen to access this part. So basically, you have to be on desktop to access it. But I don't understand why, because there's no reason it wouldn't. Like, why is this part of the stats put away, but like these other stats aren't? It's super annoying.
And at first I was going to say like security maybe, but that doesn't really make sense. I mean, like just about everything
not
on
anymore.
the web is like encrypted now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, when's the last time you opened a website and it wasn't like HTTPS, you know? Like, I mean,
Right.
I would almost say your desktop is less secure these days than your phone, because your phone's got the whole biometric scanner, you know, and you've got all your PIN. Everything asks for something. Where on desktop, that's not always true, and it's easy. I think it would be easier, you know, to be at risk, so to speak, than your
Also,
phone technically.
When's the last time you went to a website and they didn't ask you for all of the cookie stuff? They're like, you can accept these cookies or not? Because I'm getting tired. I'm getting tired of all of that.
I'm getting tired of all the cookies, man. I mean, when I see cookies, I want real cookies. I
know.
How about you?
I know.
they should
I
at
saw a
least
joke.
like they should at least have like a digital like cookie, you know, that they give you or something. I don't know.
Here's your digigital cookie.
Yeah.
I saw a great joke that was like, do British people call them biscuits? You gotta accept the biscuits, bro.
Speaking of like mobile devices, though, like think about how much your phone is like taking the place of these days. You know,
Right?
Yeah.
like phone books, so many different things. Like you said, watching movies or YouTube, or you know, watching people on broadcast or notebooks.
If there are any audio
sort of
files listening, I'll say something that's going to make people mad. In my mastering process, and I would recommend this for you too, Farm, because, you know, believe it or not, guys, Farm's working on music. So when I listen to music, I very rarely just play through speakers, right? Often I'm wearing headphones, or I have like a nice speaker that I'll play it through if I'm going to play through speakers. The amount of people who just play their music from their phone speakers is wild. It's so crazy.
That's wild.
Or like,
yeah.
Or just like through iPad speakers, which are better. But the last step for me, which you guys don't see on stream, is I actually listen to all of my music on my phone, like through the phone speakers, to decide if I like it. Because a lot of people listen to music that way.
Yeah, I think the reason why is more like, okay, I'm just going to play the music. I'm not going to take the extra steps to like go get my device or something. I know a lot of people, at least I'm that way a little bit. Like, I'm just going to play it from my phone. I'm not going to go find my Bluetooth, whatever. And you just end up playing it on your phone a lot of times. But again, if I want to really listen to something, I get my headphones, of course, obviously. But still, like if I'm out in the woods, you know, I have just enough signal to play something. You know,
I'm imagining Farmer like literally out in the woods.
not so out in the woods, but in my truck, you know, like
all the time that we want to listen to music out in the woods, you know. The
out in the woods, man. Wherever you can get signal. Be surprised.
Man,
Be surprised.
I was gonna say sometimes I do that, but I really don't. I really don't very much. I am just
you're all about the Bluetooth.
Well, you know, I have what are like smart home speakers in my house, like in every room in my house. So like anywhere that I'm going to be, I can just do
sync it
that
up to your phone. Then
I can sync it up to the phone. You know, they're all Apple, so like Siri sucks, right? So there's that as an option that I can try and use Siri to say, and she doesn't understand, and I just get mad, right? I just do that personally, but I do that, and I have Bluetooth speakers. It's just ridiculous, probably. But the amount of times I'll like come in and my wife's just listening to like music off of her phone is incredible. If you're a music producer, don't skip that. Don't skip that. Definitely listen to it on your phone and decide if you like it or not.
And it's not only that too. You think about outside of music, it's all these reels and shorts and everything that people are watching. It's all coming through your phone.
Oh, but that's a good point, because I follow a bunch of musicians and they'll make like these really interesting reels on Instagram. And one of the things I love is when they're like, put on headphones. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to go get my headphones just to listen to your one reel so I can hear
there you go.
Whatever details you want me to hear. No, dude, no way.
It's like, I'm not going to take the extra steps right now. That happens.
That's why I don't say that. That's why I don't like ever do like the, put on headphones for best experience. I'm just like, no, you can have a crappy experience.
You should do that, but then say, forget it. I'm just kidding, or something like that. Just like.
Do you guys ever see those reels that are like, turn your phone, right? They're like 3, 2, 1, turn your phone. And then you like watch it in landscape. I'm like, I see what you did.
Have you guys gone back through your photos of the last like 10 years and like look at the difference between like, all these landscape photos that we used to have and now they're all vertical?
Oh my gosh.
It's like, man, what's going on?
It's also wild to me how much technology has improved over the last 10 years too. Like I have photos from when I went to Ireland. That was probably about 10 years ago, give or take, right? And those photos look terrible compared to like the photos that I have of the day before yesterday when I went to IHOP. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Hey, look at my pancakes with butter and some syrup. Oh yeah, it's like mouth watering. I feel like, I don't know if you guys on Apple have the same thing, but on Android, when I take a picture, I see what the picture is, and then once it like processes a little bit like through the internal software, it kind of changes the picture, and sometimes it's better and sometimes it's not what I want. I don't know if you guys have that same thing, but it's weird. It's like, it's so better, and then the other time it's like, no, that's not what I wanted at all. Like, what is the software?
It's interesting
doing?
You say that. One of my friends had a Samsung Galaxy, I think, some Android phone. Obviously I'm an iPhone person. He had some Android phone. In the pictures on that phone, I would be like, this picture looks better than me looking at the thing with my own face. Right? The thing is right here. I'm looking at it with my face. That picture looks better than the thing.
Right.
Yeah, my Pixel does that. And most of the time it does look better. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense. It's got to be the software.
I just threw another tissue and freaking in there again. Wow, incredible!
You need a little
peace.
like a button alert, like whenever you make it like the swish sound, you just like touch the button. Yeah, horn.
Yeah, but for iPhones, no, I haven't really noticed that as far as like photos go.
It'll auto adjust like contrast and brightness a little bit, but you can always undo that. And I mean, I don't think it does much beyond that. But I still use like third-party programs every now and then if I really want to like try to adjust my photos.
Oh, you'd like to pull out Kate Middleton, do a little photo editing, editing.
I mean, like I feel a little bit bad, I mean, like, but also the freaking Palace could have handled that whole situation a lot better too. Okay. Like, I
don't feel bad because I wasn't freaking out about it.
Handled it. I wasn't freaking out either. But I mean, like, there were better ways that could have been handled in terms of communication. Like, yeah. And we still don't know whether she actually edited that photo or not.
There's no way she did it.
But I mean, like,
there's no way she did. There's no way.
She said she did. But I mean,
there's some intern at the Palace who got let go for that. That's clearly what happened. I learned something about one of my twins 2 days ago that I love. We were all at the house watching YouTube, as we do, because we don't watch TV anymore because it's 2024, right? We watch YouTube on a
free
TV.
Right.
Yeah, we watch YouTube on a TV instead.
Like 78% of people in the world, apparently.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
watch videos
exactly.
on their phone weekly. Yeah. Another stat there. for you.
I was watching some sumo, like sumo wrestling, right? So, because it's Japan, right? So I was watching some sumo. My youngest daughter, Janora, she's 10 minutes younger than Yasna. She's really into sumo. Yasna doesn't really care, but when I had the sumo on, she was just like glued to the TV. I mean, there are Disney songs that she'll just like not be interested in, doesn't catch her attention, but watching sumo, she was all about it. It was so great. I thought about this because Farmer was like talking about pictures, and I have this great picture. I'm going to show the guys because we're all doing video, but you guys can't see it. Look at her watching.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah, she's into it, man. I love it.
This might not necessarily be I don't know. Some of these are hits, but Sumo always reminds me of the Sumo Group, which is a video game developer. They did Little Big Planet 3, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which I hear is really good. I've never played it. Hood, Outlaws and Legends, oof, a little bit. And Crackdown 3, oof.
I love that you were like, some of these are hits, and you went off to name 0 hits. You're like, yeah, some of these were.
What games are
some
these?
of these were really well received.
Well, Sackboy apparently is like fantastic. Okay,
it's a big game on the Sonyverse, so to speak.
And they co-developed
PlayStation.
Hogwarts Legacy and Suicide Squad. So I mean,
wow,
Sackboy's
two more games that 2 more games that we played. Suicide Squad
for a variety of reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, but don't you remember those stats I read?
I was
Legacy,
literally talking about that with my wife at Costco the other day about like, how is Hogwarts Legacy the best-selling game of 2023? This is just so crazy.
That's pretty wild. Yeah.
I'm going to make a comment, and I'm making this comment specifically for another Nav member, Toei. How can Harry Potter be so popular when the Dresden Files exists? Right? How can it be so popular when the Dresden Files is out there? Like, I was talking to Chiho about it because she's watching the last movie right now, and I'm like, the thing with Harry Potter is that it's just okay. Harry Potter is like a Coke Zero. You're like, it's fine. It's fine. It's not bad. It's not great. It definitely filled me up with something. I don't know what, but and when the Dresden Files exists, how can there even be Harry Potter fans?
Coke
it's
Zero
just
out here
wild.
catching strays.
I guess you'd have to actually know what is in the Dresden Files, to really.
Well, I was gonna say, I've watched
it.
all the Harry Potter movies.
See,
I've seen them all.
And see, that's the thing. There are Harry Potter movies. There is not Dresden File movies. And that's what separates. Not yet. I'm not saying that they couldn't happen, and I'm not saying that they couldn't be even more phenomenal if given to the right hands.
I think Tom Hiddleston would be a great Harry Dresden.
Yeah, and I think that's what separates it, because so many people these days are more engaged about the media, so to speak, about these things than actually reading books.
I mean, on one hand, yes, but also I feel like there's been a big resurgence with books. I think because of audiobooks, books are on the coming back, Did we talk about this on the podcast? Do you read audiobooks? Like, is that considered reading?
We have not talked about that on podcast, but that's a great question.
Because I was talking about with a friend the other week. It was right before I recorded. Well, because some people, they talk about, I read that book. And I'm not saying this to throw shade. So I personally haven't really listened to a lot of audiobooks. I tend to read books more than listen to them. But it is interesting when you talk with someone who listens to audiobooks, because they'll be like, I read that book. And usually somewhere in the conversation, they'll bring up that I listened to it on audiobook. And it, again, not about shade, not about being mean, but is it reading a book or is it something else? Right?
I don't know. At least
I
the
would
way
say
that
it's something else, personally.
I say myself, it is right there, right? What you said. It's using a different sense. You're listening instead of actually reading. Reading, to me, is processing it and actually seeing it and actually doing it like outside of somebody else's help. I mean, that's just how I define it myself.
I do feel like, though, if you ask somebody if they've read a book, if they've listened to an audio book, they'll say, yeah, I've read that. I feel like generally that'll be their response.
Well, that's why I bring it up, because it's like, well, we don't have a distinction for it.
Right.
And I don't really think that it's not like an elitism thing. It's just different. Right. Like, if you read the novelization of a movie, did you watch the movie?
Well, novelizations can be different than movies sometimes, though, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like,
I read Revenge of the Sith, so I've watched it. Right? Like, but it's a good question, right? It's like the same thing in a different form, a different medium.
Well, I would say audiobooks are more one-to-one, though. Like, audiobooks are exactly what the book is. It's just
and I think that's the bridge. I think that's kind of the bridge between the two, is because at the end of the audiobook or into the book, you're accomplishing the same goal, so to speak. You have listened to all the words, or they've read all the words in the same book. So I think that's where that kind of connects. You could say, I've read that book because you've processed it and you've heard everything that they've read, but you didn't really read it. You had somebody else read it to you. So I guess this could be the same way of like, if you're in a room and somebody else is reading a book and reading it to you, that's technically the same thing, right? If you're reading a book to your kids, they're not technically reading it, but they're listening to it. So, I mean, I guess there's that distinction.
My kid wouldn't say that he read that book.
That's right.
I read it to him.
He would not. He's like, Daddy read that.
Yeah, he would say like, oh, like my dad read that. Or even as an adult, you wouldn't say I read the Chronicles of Narnia, for example. You would say my parents read the Chronicles of Narnia to me when I was a kid. Wouldn't you?
Yeah. So we just need to remember the narrators. It's like, oh, I had so-and-so actor read this book to me.
That is a job that I think would be a lot of fun.
What, reading books?
Oh, hands down.
Yeah, narrating
that'd be
audiobooks.
Fascinating.
It'd be interesting. My gosh, I would like definitely mispronounce a lot of words and stuff. Like I'd have to.
I would just own it. I would just own it and just be like, "This is the way that you pronounce it now."
Everybody and see all the hardcore fans would be like, "Oh, this is the way he says it now. Is this the right way? Let's go do a Wikipedia search and make sure that we can figure this out." And they're like, "Oh, this is how they pronounced it over 10 years ago. And now 10 years later, Johnny says this is the right way. So it must be the right way, right?"
But I would be like, it's the official audiobook. So boom, it is the right way.
Boom, and it's the right pronunciation.
Boom. That's all I would say. I just post that on Twitter. Boom. Get wrecked, kids.
I always think it's fascinating whenever I'm listening to an audiobook. Like there are some people who like nail it. Like you really engage with all the different like transitions between like the voices and like doing the character, changing their voice for that character, so to speak. There's some people that do it right on that book. And then there's other books that I've listened to that they're just terrible. It's like it distracts from it. So that would be tough. That would be the hardest part for me, like just trying to figure out, how would I read that? How would I, if I was to do it, how would I change for each character? Would I put a bunch of emphasis on that? Or would I, in turn, make too much of it and then distract somebody trying to listen to it? Because I've definitely had some people who've done that to me, like, oh man, I'm not paying attention to what they're saying at all. I'm too distracted.
Well, it's an interesting thing with that because for me, my wife has been listening to Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson as an audiobook.
Great book.
and I've really enjoyed it, but I also have read the book already.
Right.
And I don't know if I would like my first experience to be an audiobook because I feel like I would have a harder time focusing. But having read the book, listening to someone read it is really cool, and I've really enjoyed it. Also, apparently I pronounced a bunch of names wrong. My favorite is one of the main characters in the whole series in the Stormlight Archive. There's a family in their last name. Apparently their last name is Colin. I've definitely been saying Colin.
Oh yeah, me too.
Oh.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Colin. So, apparently I can't read. That's really what I've learned. Can't read at all.
I wonder
but,
too, I wonder too, because sometimes these people are just hired to read the book or whatever. I wonder too how much the input the original author gets in the pronunciation of certain things.
Well, and I wonder how much money is in it. Is this people's full-time job? Is it just like a, gig by gig thing? I would imagine that if you work with a publisher, you would have a lot of work to do, right? I mean, because audiobooks are popular, are they not? I don't particularly listen to them, but it seems more and more people do.
10% of Americans in the past year have listened to an audiobook.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot more people than used to be, for sure. It's funny that you're talking about pronunciations because, I think I mentioned on a podcast a while back that I was listening through actually the Harry Potter books on podcast, just kind of because I've watched the movies, never actually read the books, but I just thought I would give it a go. And the narrator actually pronounces the main villain, as we know, Voldemort through the movies, as Voldemort. And that was the original pronunciation, and they changed it. So it's Voldemort.
So what?
Voldemort is actually Voldemort.
Is what? No. What?
Yep.
Why did they change it?
They changed it because Voldemort, I think the either Warner Brothers or the producer or director, somebody over there on that side thought Voldemort was a more Western sounding and would, sell better. It sounds more threatening.
Voldemort than Voldemort?
That's just what they say. I don't really know for a fact if that is true or not, but that's what I've read.
Is Voldy really that threatening?
Well, if you think about it, Voldemort, what rhymes with mold, that's pretty terrifying, What rhymes with wart, also pretty terrifying, I mean, makes sense. I buy it.
I mean, but Voldemort more rhymes with war.
Ooh.
I have no idea what the title of this episode is going to be. Is it going to be about mobile versus computer? Is it audiobooks versus regular books? Is it Voldemort or Voldemort?
Or that Max, maybe that Max might sponsor us. I don't know. I mean, who's our sponsors these days?
Coke Zero versus Coke. But is there anything we want to mention before we wrap up today?
I can't think of anything.
I don't think so.
I can think of one thing I would like to mention before we wrap up. HBO Max is not available in Japan. It has nothing to do with what we've been talking about, but
you can go right to the letter. But I mean, it ties into the whole Warner Brothers thing. It's all Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Is Warner Brothers buying TikTok? Did that happen? I feel like we called it. I feel like it should happen. I would like that to happen. Warner Brothers, buy TikTok, please. That would be great.
Yep. The clock's ticking. Let's go.
They were going to do a merger with Paramount, I think, and that fell through because Paramount apparently is doing really badly.
Oh, man. You know what? I recently, talking about regional stuff, I found out where Paramount Plus stuff is here in Japan online, and I don't want to subscribe to them, so I'm never going to watch the Halo show. I would like it if... So this is a hard thing, right? Because let's say Stranger Things, the Halo show, The Witcher, WandaVision, these are things that you can only get if you have a subscription, right? To their respective service.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish you could buy them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because I would really happily buy them and watch them And then it's like, well, why don't you get a subscription for a month and then just watch it? And it's like, because I don't want to do that. I want to buy it, or maybe you can't do it.
There's actually a series on Netflix that my kids got to watch at somebody else's house, and it's the Carmen Sandiego series. I think I mentioned it a while back to you guys, but it's really cool, and they really enjoyed it. But I looked where to buy it. You can't buy it. You've got to stream it. But here, we don't have Netflix, and we have it for a while. And I wish we could just buy it. Why not? Why not? Come on.
Well, that's how I feel with the Halo show.
Extra merchandise.
I want to just buy it so I can watch it.
The crazy thing is like not a lot. Yeah, well, that's what they want though. Is they want you. They want to get you on the hook because like once you get on the hook, it's going to be that much harder for you to break that hook. Like, YouTube Premium has my soul. Shoot.
Yeah.
It'll take a lot for me to unsubscribe from YouTube Premium now that I've gotten used to it.
Well, and that's the thing. They hope that you forget about it too, and it's like 2 or 3 years later, it's like, oh, you know what? I never canceled that. I guess it's time to, actually go through and budget and make sure I cancel all these things, because if not, you forget about it. You do.
Yeah.
I watch so much YouTube. I save so much time by having YouTube Premium, so I don't watch ads.
Yeah.
I just have an ad blocker, but whatever.
I just canceled my Amazon Prime.
What?
I canceled my Amazon Prime.
What?
I'm done. Yeah.
He's done.
Are you going to get just the Prime Video deal?
I don't know. Maybe, but I'm just so upset by the whole nickel and diming that they've been doing and canceling group watch on Twitch and I don't know. The actual date of the Prime cancellation is the 15th or whatever, so I'll have just enough time to binge watch Fallout, I think. And then I'll be done.
if it all releases in 1 week,
it's going to release in one go.
Yeah.
Is it
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, wait. When does Fallout come out? What?
That's a great question.
April 12th.
Falls out.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh man, it's April already.
There's a lot of stuff coming out in April.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Make sure to rate us on all of the things, and we will see you guys later. Bye.